Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a weekend. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Hey, I'm all right. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm always excited for the weekends because we've got a second scoop. So we got a couple of scoops of the day coming your way today. Also, take a listen to this. Did you know that about 20% of people eat a diet composed entirely of just 10 or fewer foods? So people have like the same things they eat over and over and over and over and over.
We tend to eat the same things
I know,
over and
we do.
over.
It's funny because you had like a recipe book you went through one day and you made a bunch of new stuff like for a whole week. And then we went right back to what we used to eat. And I was like, well, I thought that was kind of good stuff. So it was good. Anyway, most people, about 20% of people, I shouldn't say most, 20% of people eat 10 items or less all the time.
I don't think we eat 10 items or less, but
we're probably
we
on the list of
certainly-
20 or 30, though.
Yeah,
Hey, have you ever heard of the word acre? Like that's a 10-acre field?
I have.
You ever wonder what acre means? It's a unit of measurement, but do you know what that unit of measurement is,
What does it
measuring?
mean?
It's the amount of land plowable in one day. Now, this would be back when you were plowing by hand, of course. So back in the day, if you had a farm that was 10 acres, it would take you 10 days to plow your entire farm. Cool stuff. Coming up, we've got some special things happening this weekend. We'll tell you all about it in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Well, we've got Saturday and Sunday, since this is a weekend program. We'll start with Saturday. Legal Assistance Day, Make Up Your Own Holiday Day, Purple Day, and Spinach Day all happen on Saturday. Sunday, of course, is Easter Sunday, but it's also Plum Pudding Day, Celebrate Exchange Day, and Quirky Country Music Song Titles Day on Sunday. So there's another thing to celebrate this weekend. So a lot of folks probably going to be celebrating Easter. That's kind of the big holiday of the weekend.
Absolutely.
And those of you that are eating Easter bunnies, or not Easter bunnies, but Easter eggs and I suppose Easter bunnies,
chocolate
Easter
bunnies.
bunnies, enjoy all of that stuff. But I don't know if you know this, but that chocolate Easter bunnies are not health food. Did you know that?
I did know that.
You'd think that they'd be health food, but no, they're not. All right. Now you know. Coming up, we've got some amazing things to share on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. You've heard of people finding a fly in their soup, maybe even like a hair in their food. But what about a bat in your cake?
Ew,
Yeah.
gross.
People sometimes try to be romantic by putting things in cakes for their loved ones. Maybe rings or necklaces. How about a dead bat? Ugh. Woman recently in Rome found a dead bat in the middle of her vanilla cream cake.
Someone gave that to her trying to be romantic? Is that what you're saying?
No, turns out it was not from her boyfriend. It was probably something that fell from the roof in the bakery and got mixed in before they were able to notice. So
Gross.
anyway, does not say whether or not she got a new cake. That happened in Rome. If that happened in the United States...
Don't tell me that when pouring batter into a pan that you couldn't have seen a bat in that batter. I'm sorry, that is not a mistake.
Well,
and if it is, it's complete negligence on the part of the bakery.
It's probably all like a machine that does it, I'm guessing, if it's a giant commercial bakery.
So disgusting.
All I know is, I don't know. I wonder if she ate the cake around the bat.
You would have.
I'm still hungry. Can I just have a corner piece then? There's a bat in the middle of the cake. I understand. I don't want the middle piece. Give me an edge piece. And then let's call the bakery. Ugh, yucky. That happened in Rome. And you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. The elder half of a father-son robbery duo is pleading guilty this week to a beer heist that ended with Dad being accidentally shot in the chest by his son.
Oh, my.
41-year-old father and his son were walking along in Winnipeg, Canada, with a dad carrying a hidden sawed-off shotgun in his clothing. The two planned to sell the weapon. Instead, the pair ran into three people who had just come out of a hotel carrying a case of beer. The dad decided, hey, I'm going to rob them of the booze.
That's a good idea.
The owner of the booze didn't want to let go of it. There was a bit of a tussle. The dad threw the gun to his son. The boy fired it towards the man fighting with his dad, but instead the bullet hit his dad in the chest. Father has been sentenced to 4 years in prison, or 4 years in jail, it says. His son receives 18 months probation. So there you go.
Well, there you go.
Father and son spending some quality time together is what
That's
that sounds
nice.
like. Walking around with a sawed-off shotgun, stealing beer from people. That's the kind of thing that happens, kids, when your brain is on drugs.
John and Heidi.
A university in Canada tried to be considerate of the blind but ended up with a moment of duh. Canada's University of Alberta in Edmonton has proudly unveiled a new poster, readable by the blind. It is embossed with Braille letters describing the pictures on the poster. The poster, commissioned by the university's Human Resources Department, is one of a series on human rights themes. There's only one problem, though. All 25 locations where the Braille poster is displayed, they're unreadable because the posters are in glass cases.
Well, of course.
So there you go. You want to read this poster? It's Braille. Well, it feels like glass. Well, it's behind the glass, but the poster's Braille. So if you could get your fingers in there,
That's
you'd be able to feel
hilarious.
it. Yeah, that happened. You know, this is our moment of duh. But I don't know. This story could have fit pretty much anywhere in our show because we have a lot of dumb stories. Coming up here in a bit, we've got a fairy tale book that's going to be up for sale, and it's an interesting book because of who owned it. We'll tell you all about that in our first Scoop of the Day.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your Scoop of the Day. Thanks for listening on the weekend, by the way. You get a second scoop, so stick around. We've got that on the way. But first, we'll go here. A book of fairy tales once owned and signed by German-born Jewish diarist Anne Frank.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but she signed it. This was a book she owned before she perished in the Holocaust. It will go on sale in New York. According to the auction house, the book is valued in their mind somewhere between $20,000 to $30,000. It is a well-worn edition of Grimm's fairy tales, including favorites like Snow White and Hansel and Gretel. It belonged to the Frank sisters, Anne Frank and her sister Margot, but they went into hiding back in 1942 to escape the Nazis, and this was a book that they owned before that. So, interesting. Hey, a sleeping Iowa State University student rolled out of her window and fell 3 stories. Police say a woman living nearby called 911 around 3 a.m. after hearing somebody calling for help outside of her building. An injured but conscious female student was on the ground. She had fallen through her screen window from her loft bed while sleeping. The bed was apparently placed right in front of the window. How would you like
a big window.
How would you like to roll over and fall out of
Yeah,
bed 3
goodness.
stories? Scientists are developing computer chips that can be put into packaging with food to alert you if the food has gone bad. Interesting idea.
That's
you know what
interesting.
we've been doing for years, though? Opening the food and going, yeah, it's bad. More medical care won't necessarily make you healthier, Heidi. As a matter of fact, it may make you sicker. It's an idea that technology-loving Americans find hard to believe, but a new study seems to indicate that anywhere from 1/5 to nearly 1/3 of the tests and treatments we get are estimated to be unnecessary and potentially will make you sicker. So we're going in to get tests taken that don't help but actually hurt.
Yeah.
I don't do that. You know how long
I
it's-
actually agree with that. Our family
I know. I never go to the
have
doctor.
not been to a doctor for I don't even know how long.
Now we'll all be homesick next week. Hey, do you watch TV without another screen in your hand? If you do, you may be in the minority. I know we typically have our phones while we're watching TV.
Yeah.
Not that we spend a lot of time on them, but sometimes there's stuff on that's not really that important, and we'll go, scroll around on Facebook or something. But TV viewing is increasingly becoming a multi-screen experience. This is especially true for owners of tablets and smartphones in the U.S., 40% of whom use their devices on a daily basis while watching TV. Typically, here's what happens in our household. We'll see somebody, we're like, she looks familiar.
What else was she in?
What was she in? And
Yeah,
then I'll
and then
push
we'll
a little
look it
microphone on my phone and I'll say that, whatever the name of the movie is. And then we'll start looking while watching the movie, trying to figure out how we know this person. Sometimes we still can't figure it out. In Munich, Germany, the crowds of the annual Oktoberfest celebration can get a little rowdy. So our law and disorder hero decided to help the police out by fining some of the more rowdy celebrants. He flashed an ID and demanded payment of $25 on the spot, threatening arrest if they didn't comply. One of his perps refused to pay, and our hero our hero, who was not really a police officer, decided to, quote-unquote, arrest him anyway, hauled him off to the nearest police station. Upon arrival, it was our hero who was the one busted for impersonating an officer. And that ID he was flashing turned out to be a fake driver's license with a photo of Elvis on it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so that was his fake ID that he used as a police officer. Officer Presley here. New studies are suggesting that not all generic drugs are the exact same as their brands that are supposed to be their equals. Troubling reactions from a series of recalls are making some doctors wonder if generic drugs are as safe as the FDA says they are. Do you think that's the thing, or do you think this is just big pharmacies trying to, the big drug
I've always
companies?
bought the generics, and I've never had an
you
issue.
go.
So,
Time for a strange law. Women in Morrisville, Pennsylvania are required by law to purchase a permit before wearing lipstick in public.
well then.
That is a strange law. This has been your Scoop of the Day.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. Start earning 6%. Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com right now. What are you waiting for? Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, that's commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.
John and Heidi.
Now, your second scoop of the day. How does a bill-changing machine, like for a soda machine, how does it determine if your dollar bill or 20 or 10 is counterfeit or not? Have you ever wondered this?
I have not wondered that, but I have wondered how it tells between the different bills.
Well, it's let me tell you here. So if you've ever wondered, you put $1 in and it doesn't work and you feel rejected, I've felt that too. Chances are it could have been.
You feel rejected.
You do. You're like, I was trying to buy a Snickers. It wouldn't take my dollar. It's okay, John. All right. Anyway, the machine checks for several characteristics. For instance, by passing a light through it, the exchanger can tell if your bill's gross density is correct. It also uses light rays to check the alignment of thin lines embedded in the bill. A magnet generates a signal from the ink in your bill, and it had better match the one characteristic of the ink used in printing real bills that they keep top secret. The machine measures the exact length of your bill, and it's a good thing the bill changer doesn't also measure the sweat on your palms, or I might not ever get anything. After about 30 seconds of trying to stuff it in and make it go or whatever, I usually give up. But there's all those little things built in to decide if it's real or if it's not.
I wonder if that changes as they change the security on the bills, if they have to then go through and
Update 'em?
revamp all these machines.
I don't know how that works. Anyway, that is from the book, How Do They Do That? By Carolyn Sutton. All right, the church of today is not as great at giving as it once was, Heidi. Statistics show that tithers make up only 10 to 25% of a normal congregation. Studies show Christians are only giving about 2.5% per capita. During the Great Depression, by the way, Christians gave it 3.3%. So during the Great Depression, they were more generous than they are right now. That prompted an article called What Would Happen If the Church Tithed? They estimate that if all believers were to increase their giving to a minimum of 10%, which is what the Bible says, there would be an additional, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
$165 billion
Whoa.
going to churches to help with different programs that they have, missions and whatnot. And a lot of these things are things that help your own community. So imagine how great each community would be if only everybody did that. It'd be crazy. Toe licking. You ever considered taking up that hobby?
Not even once. That is just the most disgusting thing.
Nor have I. That's really not something I'm into. Now, folks, if you're into toe licking, I'm not trying to say anything about you. I'm just saying.
I will. You're a freak.
That's just not my kind of thing. Well, toe licking could become a criminal offense in the Netherlands after a man who licked the toes of several women was released by police with no charges. You know why? He hadn't broken the law. The man was licking toes, and he was arrested at the Rotterdam, whatever that is, about a week ago after a woman who had been sunbathing there said he came up unexpectedly and began licking her bare feet. Other women also complained that the 35-year-old man had reportedly been pursuing his fetish for years. Prosecutors said they are powerless to stop him because a lick of the foot does not qualify as a crime. Lawmakers are now working feverishly to change that law.
I would think if a stranger licked any part of your body.
Yeah, it's legal.
It would be illegal.
At least right now in the Netherlands, it is perfectly legal.
Wow.
So if you're a toe licker, head off to the Netherlands.
That's disgusting.
All right, let's wrap things up over here. Madison, Wisconsin is where we're going to head right now. Police officers responded to a 911 disconnect call at a home with the dispatcher reporting that the phone line was constantly busy on callback. Arriving at the home, all the drapes were pulled tightly closed. Officers there found a note attached to the door reading, "Nothing can hurt me. Nothing can make me scared. No one can take me."
Whoa.
After getting assistance, while preparing to take the appropriate tactical action in response to that obvious threat to the police, they finally reached the homeowner by phone. Did you figure it out yet?
No.
Turns out it was the owner's 3-year-old son had a nightmare. He posted the note on the door to scare off the bad things that he thought were on the way.
A 3-year-old? No way. A
That's
3-year-old
what they
could write that note.
Turns out the owner's 3-year-old son had a nightmare, and he posted, I'm assuming that it was the dad helped him, I'm guessing, I don't know, posted the note on the door to scare off the bad things. And at the same time, the little troublemaker, while playing with the phone, inadvertently dialed 911.
Okay.
So
I'm going to call big old BS on that. There's no way a 3-year-old could write that particular note and hang it.
Again, I'm saying I think the dad might have helped. They said, okay, you know what? Let's not be afraid. Let's write a note. We'll stick it on the door. Let's go back to bed. It's 3 a.m. I want some sleep. So I think that might be what happened. I don't know. All I know is that happened in Madison, Wisconsin at 3 a.m., and I'm glad I wasn't involved. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Boxing is the one sport in which neither the spectators nor the participants know the score or even the leader until the contest ends. So it's not like they have a big scoreboard on the sidelines that you're watching to see who's ahead. Nobody knows until it's done, and then the judges let you know who won. Only sport where that happens, yeah.
But don't you know, like after each round, so-and-so won this round?
No, you don't know. If they knock them out, you kind of know who's ahead. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
There was a time in Japan where a wife being left-handed was grounds for divorce. There you go. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Grapes are grown around the world more than any other fruit.
Yeah, because grapes make delicious goodness, which is wine.
And raisins. But more importantly, wine. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The first American president to deliver a speech over the radio was Warren G. Harding. And finally, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The largest type of penguin is the emperor penguin. Guess how big an emperor penguin is?
I have no idea.
3.5 feet tall, weighing about 90 pounds. So, there you go.
Fascinating. fascinating.
That is fascinating. Thanks for listening to a couple of fun facts on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by RadioReallyWorks.com. I know you're listening to a podcast, but did you know the John and Heidi Show is also a radio show? And for those of you who have businesses, you should consider using radio to advertise your business. We can even help you create some catchy little jingles or amazing radio ads that'll help pull people in. Get all the details or just learn more at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend. If you want to get some sleep, if you're fighting off insomnia on a regular basis, I got some tips to help beat insomnia and get a good night's sleep. You ready for this?
Sure.
Do something dull before going to bed. Read a book, sort some laundry, something dull. Don't watch like an action-packed movie and then go try to lay down and go to sleep, especially like us if we're in bed together, because then I want to talk about the movie and you're like, yeah, go to sleep now.
It
I'm
doesn't
like,
matter
so-
what we do before bed. You want to talk about everything.
It's like, oh, that was so cool. And then this, you're like, yeah. Can you go to sleep now? I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Hey, Heidi, I'm just thinking of something. Do something dull before retiring. So let's think of something dull we can do tonight. I've got some ideas. We'll do it in the most dull way. Another thing, drink milk before bedtime. They say that actually helps. Another tip to get some sleep tonight, keep the bedroom dark. Don't have
Yes.
anything that lights up in your room, because if there's something that lights up, that can catch your attention and keep you awake.
Agreed.
Keep the bedroom cool and the
Agreed.
bed warm. So the
Agreed.
saying, I hate this study already. We live in a wind tunnel. She has fans blowing on our bed as though we're trying to dry paint. And then I'm snuggled under the sheets and the comforter trying to warm up. But apparently that's a good way to get some sleep. Enjoy herbal tea before bed, but not too much herbal tea. They're saying have a little chamomile, some passion flower. All of those teas will help you get your Z's. See what I did there? And then finally, use your bed for one thing and one thing only. Sleep. Well, maybe two things. Another thing you use for. But what they're saying is don't read while you're in bed. Don't watch TV while you're in bed. Don't knit while you're in bed. Don't work on puzzles. Those things should be done somewhere else in a cozy little sofa or chair. But when you get in bed, you want your mind to instantly think about sleep. That way, when you get in bed, you'll instantly think about sleep.
There you go.
There you go. I think you should do two things in bed, so we'll leave it at that. That's going to do it for that fun little break. And again, who's that from? I thought maybe I don't even know. See, sometimes I write down where I get this, but that's from somewhere on the World Wide Web. On the way, we're going to talk about starting your own country. It's interesting, and it's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVRealtor.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVRealtor.com.
You ever want to start your own country?
Yes, many
One man
times.
has discovered it's much easier than he thought it would be. So I'll give you some details here. If you're looking to create your own country, or maybe looking for a new country to become a citizen of, well, I can't imagine too many people are really wanting to denounce their citizenship of this country, but there are about 3,000 Pakistanis that want to become citizens of a new country named Ladonia. Only one problem, though, the country doesn't exist. Ladonia is the brainchild of Lark Vilks. He set aside a square mile, 1 kilometer, piece of land, and named it Ladonia a few years ago. He did this to protest an attempt by Swedish authorities to remove 2 large abstract works of art that he built. Mr. Vilks had no idea how popular his small country would become. With a little help from the internet, the website that he put up had 6,000 registered citizens to his imaginary country. It's become such a large problem for Lark that he has now shut down the website, fearing that all these people might actually believe it was a real country. Not being able to supply housing or jobs for his new citizens, he said, I just turned that website off. So he started his own country.
So you can't really start your own country.
Well, he did. 6,000 registered citizens, so there you go. I'm not saying that anybody lived there, but that's what the internet said. Coming up, zero tolerance policies at school. That's on the way.
John and Heidi.
When I say a zero tolerance policy at school, what do you think of? Drugs?
Drugs and
How
weapons.
about hugs?
Oh, good Lord.
Administrators at Pequot Lakes, Minnesota schools have cracked down. No more hugs. They say they're unnecessary. Hugging was standard greetings at the school, so distressed administrators decided to forbid them. Even though the hugs are used to express feelings and to make people feel better, tough stuff. If a teacher catches a student hugging too often, it's off to detention with them. According to the principal, Chuck Arns, hugging has a tendency to change the atmosphere in the school, he said.
Yeah, for the better.
Well, what's the deal with all these
Good
hugs?
Lord.
You people seem way too happy around here. No hugs for you. Although, I'm not much of a hugger.
I am a hugger.
I know
will
you
hug
are.
everybody.
I know you do.
Love to hug.
Yeah, that's pretty much when we first met. I noticed that everybody in your family likes to hug, so I like to sneak out early. I'm going to start the car and warm it up. They're like, "It's July." I'm like, "Yeah, I understand. I'm going to warm up the car." So anyway, lots of hugging, but not there. It's banned. Coming up, we're going to talk about some healthy food labels that might not actually be too healthy. It's on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend. I know it's Easter weekend, and the last thing from anybody's mind this weekend is health food, but I'm still going to talk about this. Healthy food labels. They might not really be all that healthy. Healthy is kind of a buzzword, really, Heidi. You could say things are healthy just because it's healthier than something that's worse.
Right.
So fat-free, you might think that's healthy, but in certain fat-free foods, it could cause you to gain weight, not lose it. Another is gluten-free. If you don't have gluten sensitivity, think twice before ditching gluten because it's not healthy. There are people that just can't eat it. That's like saying, I'm allergic to onions, and I'm going to quit eating them because that's better for me. No, it's only better for you if you're allergic to it. So if you don't have gluten sensitivity, quit looking for gluten-free stuff. Diet soda. We just talked about this earlier in the week, I believe. It says here, diet does not always equal weight loss. It might not be holding up its end of the bargain. Organic. People are asked to rate organic versus conventional. And yogurts, cookies, potato chips, overwhelmingly, they said, I thought that the organic would be healthier. Well, the catch is, all the products in the study were identical. They were just labeled differently. So they were exactly the same calories. The word organic does not mean healthy. It means organic.
It means more expensive is what it means.
Typically, yeah. And then trans fat free. Since 2006, the FDA has required food manufacturers to list reportable amounts of trans fats on the nutrition labels. But here's the thing. Food manufacturers don't have to report the trans fat contents if it's less than 0.5 grams per serving. So when you see things that say trans fat free, doesn't necessarily mean that there's no trans fats. It just means that it's a lesser amount. So sometimes you see that, and it's not accurate. So there you go. Some of those food labels that are not necessarily being honest with us. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on this Easter weekend.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I think I got some good news this weekend, Heidi.
Okay.
Interesting story here. Chicago White Sox slugger Adam LaRoche. Now, got to first admit, we're not baseball fans, so I don't know exactly who Adam LaRoche is. But he walked away from a contract that would have paid him $13 million this season
Whoa.
because his team president, Ken Williams, told Mr. LaRoche that he had to limit the time that his 14-year-old son Drake spent with the team. According to ESPN, the 36-year-old LaRoche announced his retirement last week, hinting at reasons behind his decision with the hashtag Family First in a
good
tweet.
for him.
And Williams said, the White Sox have always encouraged players to bring their kids into the clubhouse and onto the field. But he said he thought Drake LaRoche was there too much. And he said, well, then, if you don't want him here, I won't be here either.
Wow.
And he said goodbye to a $13 million contract.
That's crazy.
To spend more time with his 14-year-old son. And that, my friends, is awesome.
That is pretty awesome.
It stinks that the Chicago White Sox, put him in a position where they made him choose his kid over his job. You don't ever want to be in a position where you're asked to choose, but he made the right choice.
Yes, he did.
And very, very proud of him for doing that.
That is good news.
I think there are a lot of people who would have said, you know what, okay, I'll talk to him and I'll tell him not to be here as much. And they would have said, I'll take the money and I'll tell my kid that he's going to lose out. But this, I think, was really cool. All right, time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great weekend. Spend some time with family and friends if you can on this Easter weekend. And we appreciate you tuning in to the John and Heidi Show. Please join us back here again next week as well.
Time now for the bonus break. Only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
And your bonus break is brought to you by the good folks at Knowles Systems. If you haven't heard of them, well, you need to listen up because I got to tell you all about this. If you have funds earning less than 6%, maybe you should check into a better system like Knowles Systems. They have commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. If you've never heard of a commercial mortgage bridge loan, I'm going to tell you what this is. It's a loan paying 6% to 8%, and it could be just what you need. You're placed in the first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels and apartments and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges. You can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. If you'd like more info on how you can start earning 6% or more right now, call 888-547-8007. I'll give you that number again in a second, but first, you might want to just check out the website if that's easier. commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com or 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
Since it's the weekend, I got all kinds of fun little things that I'm going to clean up here, Heidi.
Okay.
These are things that are just too darn good to scroll past. And as we go through, I always have, a lot of them lately seem to be my fun facts. I find more fun facts than we ever have time for. Fun fact, Heidi.
What's that?
The sun shrinks 5 feet every hour.
Really?
Yeah, every hour the sun is getting 5 feet smaller. You'd think the thing's going to burn out, but it's got a long ways before that's going to happen. Another fun fact, 7-Eleven was the first convenience store to have a television advertisement. It was an animated commercial in 1949 with a singing rooster and owl. I'd like to see that. I bet it's probably online. Another fun fact, the word McJob has been added to the Merriam-Webster's dictionary.
Oh, my goodness.
Defined as a low-paying job that requires little skill and provides little opportunity for advancement. Again, it's called McJob. Do you have a McJob?
No.
I don't either. This is kind of disgusting. Human saliva has a boiling point 3 times that of regular water.
Oh.
So 3 times higher than regular water. Human saliva. So boiling point.
Who on earth decided to try to boil human saliva?
I don't know.
That's
I wonder how much
disgusting.
human saliva it took for them to get this
Ew.
project done.
Yeah.
It's kind of gross. The average human ear grows 0.01 inches in length every year.
Ew.
Pull your hair back. I want to see your ears.
My ears are huge.
Let me see. Wow, yeah, you must be a little older than
Yeah.
me. There's so much. No, I'm just kidding. My ears are just as big, I'm sure. Calvin and Hobbes. Fun comic strip, right? Our son loved Calvin and
Troy
Hobbes.
loves Calvin and Hobbes.
Did you know Calvin and Hobbes were patterned after a real person named Calvin and his real pet tiger? And guess who that Calvin was?
Who is that?
Our only president to be born on the 4th of July, Calvin Coolidge.
Really?
Yeah. He had a pet tiger as a boy. So when the creator of Calvin
Not
and
a real
Hobbes...
pet tiger, a stuffed tiger.
I believe he had a real pet tiger as a boy.
Really?
I believe so.
Huh.
And when he was putting this together, his comic strip, he thought that was kind of cool, and he came up with the name Calvin for Calvin and Hobbes.
Alrighty then.
And one other thing that I've been saving this now, got to be in the neighborhood of a month, but it's called Generation Jones. Have you ever heard of Generation Jones?
Have not.
Nor have I. But it says, are you a baby boomer or a Gen Xer or something in between? If you were born between 1954 and 1965, you're part of a generation that contains one of every 4 adults in America, and it's lovingly referred to now as Generation Jones. And they're a generation kind of sandwiched really in between the baby boomers and the Gen Xers. So again, between 1954 and 1965, 53 million people fall in there.
Huh.
The term was invented by a lawyer, Jonathan Pontel, who says he chose that name because it's so common and anonymous, much like the people that he was trying to define. In a poll of 1,200 adults born during that time, 87% said they did not feel like baby boomers or Gen Xers, but they felt like maybe there was a generation in between. So here's a Gen Joneser. You ready for this?
Okay.
Boomers had drive-ins. Gen Xers have drive-bys. Jonesers had drive-thrus. So the drive-thru is kind of a Gen Joneser idea.
Okay.
Boomers had the $64,000 question. Gen Xers had the show Remote Control. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Jonesers had the show Hollywood Squares.
Okay.
Boomers, Purple Haze. Jonesers, Purple Rain. Gen Xers, Blue M&Ms. Boomers, the Cleavers. Gen Xers, the Simpsons. Jonesers, the Brady Bunch. Boomers had JFK. Gen Xers had Jesse Ventura. Come on, can we please have a revote on that? And Jonesers had Jimmy Carter. Although I do think Jesse Ventura beats Jimmy Carter. I'll take that. Boomers had the telephone. Gen Xers have chat rooms. Well, Jonesers have CB radios. I remember when I was a kid, we had a CB radio in one of our vehicles. Did you guys have a CB ever?
No.
Oh, I thought that was pretty cool. You'd talk on there and people would, talk back.
That's awesome.
Crazy concept. Boomers had Coke. Gen Xers, classic Coke. Jonesers, new Coke. And then the last thing on here, Boomers, the peace symbol. Gen Xers, a nose ring. Jonesers, mood rings. So there you go. If you've ever wondered if you maybe just don't feel like you fit in the generation that they say you are, you're a Gen Xer, I'm a Gen Xer. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I fit all of the things that they just said there, though. So there you go. Our bonus break brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you've got funds that are earning less than 6%, get a better system, man. Come on. Check out a commercial mortgage bridge loan. Earn 6 to 8%. All the details can be found on their website, and I'll give you the phone number here in a second, too. The website is commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com, or you can call them toll-free at 888-547-8007. Make sure you let them know you heard about it on the John and Heidi Show.